People need an income that's guaranteed to them.
If you lose money to taxes, you're never getting that money back.
You need to get serious about adding some lower risk.
Greed. I don't like greed.
The thing to be afraid of, honestly, is the thing that we're not thinking of, the black swan event.
There's a tsunami coming. Bye.
Welcome to Retirement Coffee Talk with Charisse Rivers.
Just coffee talk.
There's a lot of noise, a lot of chatter. Who do you listen to? Who do you not listen to? You have to stay focused.
A fun and informative look at the issues of wealth, retirement, and protecting your life savings.
These advisors out there that were trained to sell, and have all these fees. They don't want to talk about this product, so they make less money.
And now, Retirement Coffee Talk with Charisse Rivers.
Hello again, and welcome to the weekend. Welcome to Retirement Coffee Talk with Charisse Rivers at Zinnia Wealth. My name is Randy Cook, and Happy New Year, everybody. This is our first show of 2024. We have a special one for you today, but of course, the same players are in place. Charisse is here. How are you doing, Charisse? Happy New Year.
I'm good. Where's the ball dropping and the little noise horns? Are we all past that now?
We're all past that now, yes. All the hangovers have been handled, and, the football is done, and we're set to go for a new year. And what do we do in a new year? We start thinking about taxes because tax time is coming up. You start gathering all that stuff together.
Wait a minute, Randy. Nobody's thinking about taxes this week.
Let me tell you.
We are still on holiday time and trying to figure out how we're going to stick to our New Year's resolutions.
Oh, okay. Did you make any?
Yes, I did.
Okay, all right.
New Year's brings a lot of new decisions and changes.
Yeah.
And so, I got a couple of things this year on my list. I'm going to do the 75 hard. I did that last year, but I didn't do it exactly the way it needed to be done. And I'm doing a specialty, healthy, new diet. So I don't want to disclose what that is, but it's a good one.
So tell me, is this that one where you do something every day for 75 days? Is that what that is?
Yeah, 75 hard's like you get on some sort of healthy kick diet. It could be anything, and it doesn't matter what it is. It's whatever works for you. And then, you do a 45-minute workout outside in the afternoon or in the morning. And then you're supposed to do another 45-minute workout in the morning or the afternoon. So you got to do 2 workouts. I know it sounds crazy, but for me, my afternoon workout's going to be taking the kids on the bike and doing those types of things. And I'm going to do my normal gym stuff in the morning. So it won't be so hard. But then you have to read for 10 minutes. Yeah, 10 minutes every night for 75 days. And it's got to be like a self-help book. Okay. No problem here. I love those books. You got to drink a gallon of water a day. And a lot of people are like, a gallon of water a day, that takes all your nutrition out of your body. But that's why you put some of those nice little electrolytes inside of them.
All right.
And what else? And part of my afternoon workouts, like on the weekend, is going to be golfing. So it's going to make me golf more often. So
this is
great. This is good because it's going to give me my hobby back and strengthen my body at the same time. So still recovering with my lower back issue.
But 2023 for me was like my best year ever in golf. I broke par twice, and I had my first hole in one. So
stop bragging.
I'm trying to figure out where do I go from here.
I know. What do you do now?
Exactly. So
can you push harder to get that?
Well, yeah.
That point. Those points 5 more lower than what you did last year.
Yeah. So my scores are usually somewhere between 76 and 81, something like that. So I've
70.
said 75 is what I was break 75 every time.
What is that? That's your 76 is your best score. You can't go 75. You have to shoot for the stars and go to 71 or 72.
70 is my best score. 69 actually is my best score. But what I'm going to try to average 75 this year. That's going to be it. Okay.
How about 74? Let's go. Look, come on. You're awesome at golf.
This should say something to you about Charisse. She's always pushing you to be better.
Next year, I want to report. I want to hear 74.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm going today, so we'll see how it goes today. All right. So we are going to do a special show for you today because one of the things that you always see at this time of year is let's look back at what 2023 was. What did 2023 bring us? And there's a lot to talk about. But we're going to do a look back and a look forward show. So every topic that we talk about today is going to be where were we and where are we going, which I think is where a lot of people want to know, how do I place my money for wherever we're going? And maybe 2024 is your year. Maybe it's the year that you retire. Maybe you turn 65 this year and you got to talk about Medicare for the first time. There's a lot to talk about for sure. And Charisse, why don't we start where we talked about all year long? All that focus was on the Fed and the interest rate and the inflation and the fight against inflation. So at the beginning of the year, in January 2023, the inflation rate was 6.4. Now that's down from 9.1, so it's good. And now today we are at 3.1. So the Fed has done their job. They're not done doing their job. The January rate for the interest rates was 4.5. Today it's 5.5, and there's a lot of discussion about lowering interest rates in 2024. So, Charisse, historically speaking, rates went up very fast from 0 to 5.5%. Now they're talking about bringing it down. Do you think it goes down as fast? And what does that do to some of these products that we've talked about this year that have been so good for retirees?
It's going to be really interesting, because there's this fine line, and it could really go two different directions, believe it or not. And I don't want to have this crystal ball say this is what's going to happen, but this is what needs to happen, in my opinion. They need to bring those interest rates down slowly. When you drop the interest rates too fast, it causes chaos in the markets across the country, and it could collapse a lot of things out there. So we have to be methodical about it. And they really have to be strategic, because we're fighting a few battles out there. And the battles are inflation, interest rates, war, bonds, you name it. There's if you move too fast in one area, it's going to hurt everybody. So what I think they're going to do, and I don't know if they can hold strong to it, is they're going to do it slowly. But I'm not sure it's going to stay down because of the massive amount of debt we're in, Randy, and the trillions, over $20 trillion in debt the government has to refinance over the next so many years. And then all the companies over the next couple of years, Amazon's, Google's, Caterpillar, you name them, there's millions on the table they got to refinance. And originally their interest rates were really low on their debt, and now interest rates are higher than ever. So I don't know, because when they have to start refinancing this, I don't know if we can drop the rates fast enough to get them to have a lower interest rate to refinance this debt for the government, for companies, for small companies, everybody. So it's going to be tough. So they've really got to come up with a plan. And I really hope the CPA of the United States and those decision makers are being smart and not greedy and selfish, and they do it right.
Well, you bring up great points, because Jerome Powell has said he sees 3 interest rate drops in 2024. So we'll see if they hold fast to that. There is the possibility that inflation could tick back up again.
Right.
That means we would raise rates. So there's that out there.
Right.
And so my other question to you there was, we've talked about CDs, we've talked about bonds, we've talked annuities, we've talked treasuries, we've talked money markets, all those different things. These are interest rate dependent financial vehicles. Retirees this has been a boom for them. I mean, this has been great.
It's been glorious, actually. You, for the first time, could take your money out of the market, make 5 or 6% in a safe something, right?
Yeah.
And just be content with that, because you're like, at least it's going up, not going down. But when interest rates go down next year, this time, we're not going to have the 5% CDs.
Right.
We're not going to have that 5 and 6% annuity. We're just not going to have those rates. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens with the safe strategies and some of the bonds, the I bonds, the CDs, the money markets, and to see how there's a shift. And the only one thing I do fear is on the bonds, because when interest rates go up, bond values go down, right? So if the interest rates start to go down, the bonds are going to start ticking up. But I think if we can't keep the interest rates going down or at a steady level, and they actually rebounce back up, people are going to get duped, Randy, and their advisors are going to say, oh, we can go back to the bonds. Interest rates are going down. Now we're going to make all this money. And then what happens, they could be wrong.
Yeah.
And then now they're in a loss, or they're just at the double whammy loss. So I worry about that. So we'll be entering bonds very slowly. We have some really nice bonds right now that have made good money this year. They're very short-term duration type tips, Treasury inflation protected bonds. I just want people to be careful. Hear my words. Be careful what you're listening to. The big guys on Squawk Box and on television are going to tell you to do this. These big money managers already got it wrong this year. How come Sharice got it right this year, but the big guys who are on TV got it wrong? They didn't do nothing until it was too late. So just think about that. There's a lot of people out there trying to make money off of you, and they're trying to figure out what the next best, what do we call it, sparkly object is, and they're going to start talking about that and pumping up the volume on it. And just tread lightly. Be very careful if you're going on your own. Maybe this tippy toe into it, and so you don't have all your dollars in the bonds. But we want to be cautious, right?
Great points, because all I know is I'll watch the news and they'll say the price of oil went up $1 today. And then I go down to the Quick Trip and saw that the price of gas went up immediately. So, I mean, it's just they watch that very closely. So I got to believe it's going to be the same way this year. As interest rates tick down, some of these things that have been great for retirees will probably become a little less attractive. But think about it this way. 2 years ago, we were looking at CDs under 1%.
Yes.
If it goes from 5 to 4.8, is that so bad?
Oh, I'll take that still.
Exactly. There's a window of opportunity here for retirees, and this is one of the things that Sharice can show you as you sit down and have your meeting.
And yes, and I got to tell you, Randy, I found something. It was a guarantee for 10 years. It was like 6.1% guaranteed fix every year for 10 years. I've never seen anything like it. It was under my radar, and I went, what is this? And I was so excited about it. So we're trying to tell as many of our clients as possible, like if you just want to lock in that kind of rate of return and have liquidity at the same time, I'm afraid it won't be here long, because the entire country is probably, the advisors, insurance agents, and whoever they are probably using these alternatives for it. So brand new, off the shelf,
Hide off the presses, right there.
Yes.
So there's another opportunity when I say that window of opportunity to sit down and talk to Sharice about some of these things that are really great right now. They may get a little less great as we move through 2024, but certainly something to talk about. Give us a look on our website. It's zinniawealth.com, ZINNIA wealth.com. There's a big gold box there. It says complimentary retirement consultation. Exactly what it is. A free meeting with Sharice to sit down and talk about you, your retirement, what your concerns are, and how we might be able to help. You can also give us a call at 833-368-3680. That's 833-368-3680. All right, why don't we take a break and then talk about the stock market, where we were, where we are, and what we're looking toward for 2024. That coming up next on Retirement Coffee Talk. Welcome back to Retirement Coffee Talk with Sharice Rivers at Zinnia Wealth. Online, find us at zinniawealth.com, ZINNIA wealth.com. Hey, while you're there, there's a button up at the top. It says Media, and when you click on that, you can hear past shows. You can hear interviews that Sharice has done with some pretty interesting people. And we also have our podcast that is there as well. You can also find our podcast anywhere you find your podcast, iTunes, Spotify, Google, all is there. And you can hear past shows. You will hear this show as well. All right, so Sharice, let's talk about in our Look Back and Look Forward show today, January of 2023, the Dow was at about 33,000. And with all the turmoil that we had up and down, we're going to end up with an up year in 2023. But look at what we've got to deal with in 2024. The election year, we've got the Fed still fighting inflation. There's still a couple of wars out there. There's a lot of political unrest. Oh, my gosh, that's going on. They fight all the time over just simple things like budgets and things like that. So if somebody were retiring this year, they could look at that and get scared. They might say, I don't want to retire this year. I'm going to stay until things are a little bit better. Or do you put together a retirement plan that takes all this into consideration, or do you say that's the noise that you talk about all the time? Let's build a plan past that.
Well, here at Zinnia Wealth Management, we build portfolios that are different than what other advisors build. We know war's going to happen one day. We know inflation's going to be up and down and all around. But we don't worry about this because of how our plans are built out for the good and the bad. And it gives me absolute gratification that people don't have to worry about their income checks as if we're going through war or if inflation's booming. Because when inflation is hitting us hard, it typically comes down, right? So there's ebbs and flows of inflation. And so as long as our clients do not have all their money in the stock market, and we know exactly what we're going to live on the next 2 years, the next 4 years, the next 8 years, those dollars are always coming in. There's no question. So through all this roller coaster ride, the stock market, those dollars aren't even in the stock market. So we don't have to worry about it, right? We don't have to get emotional. We don't have to make bad decisions like, oh, this income plan, sorry, Mr. or Miss Jones, we can't pull money out because we just lost you 20 or 30%. We don't have those conversations. Our conversations are, hey, we did better than our plan specified. And hey, we have extra money, if you need it. That's the conversation we have on the table. It's incredible. And clients actually who are listening right now be like, yep, that's exactly what's happened, So that's the nice thing about what we do here. Now, the money that we don't touch for the next 8 to 10, maybe 15 years, however we work out your plan, that could have a little bit of a roller coaster ride. But remember, here at Zinnia Wealth Management, we have different portfolios in the stock market. Some are the kind of the buy and hold, where we're only changing it once every 6 months or once every year. Or maybe we're holding it longer. Those are more specific to dividends, right? Some of them are, hey, I want to hold Amazon and Nvidia for the next 10 years and leave those dollars for my beneficiaries. Whatever it is, everybody has a different wish, a different goal, and a different economy inside their home, depending on what their needs and wishes are. So those could be a little bit rocky, but even in our actively managed portfolio, the one that literally we've traded 3 times in it over the last month, the goal of that portfolio is, we're going to have some highs and lows, but we want to stay at a more even base. And the people who are working or used to work understand this a little bit. You go through this roller coaster ride with your jobs and your employers, and one day you have a good day, one day you're down in the dumps, the next day you have a good day. It's a roller coaster ride with emotions. But as you get older and you get better at learning how to handle hard and handle your boss or handle running a business, you can straighten out that roller coaster ride and make it more of a smoother line. And so that's what the active managed portfolio is supposed to do over time. So we have different strategies for different people, for different needs, safe money strategies, moderate. Some people are like, Grace, I don't want to lose a dollar. We have a different plan for you. And so it's important. And this is how Zinnia does things. All the advisors, we just build out these portfolios that works for your household. It's not cookie cutter. We want to make sure you got your Social Security check. We want to make sure you have a pension. If you don't have a pension, we'll work in a contractual guarantee if we feel like it's needed. We want to have some dividends coming into us, right? We want an interest-bearing account we can live on. Lifetime income streams, maybe. There's so many things to focus on. It's just not about a 60-40 portfolio. We have to get better at investing for our clients. We have to get creative. We have to look outside the box. But we do have to follow some of the old school financial conventional wisdom theories out there. So it's all coupled all together, right?
We've talked about in the past and used the term the all-weather portfolio. So if you're getting toward retirement and maybe 2024 is your year and you look at all that's going on and swirling around out there and it just scares you to death, what Charisse has just described to you is you got a paycheck when you were at work and it came every 2 weeks, very reliably every 2 weeks. Let's build that kind of reliable income for you in your retirement years. So let the world could go and swirl around and do its thing. You still have the mailbox money, and it's coming to you every single month. That's the idea of a financial plan, an income plan at Zinnia Wealth. Give us a look on our website, zinniawealth.com. Click on that gold box, and we'll have that conversation. Talk about income, which is actually where we're going to talk about next. We've talked about it in the past, how many people are getting into retirement age of the baby boomer generation, 10,000 a day. And there's going to be more people turning 65 this year than any other year. All of that is something that we've talked about. And along with that is those retirees, people looking for income. In 2023, there were more annuities sold than any other year in history. Now, Sharice and I have played the Ken Fisher commercial, and we've dissected that, and we've talked through all of that. But, Sharice, there's still a lot of negative information out there about annuities. But people are saying, you know what? It gets me income. I've weighed that out. I like what I see here. So what does this say? A record amount of people are using annuities. What does that say about the negative press about annuities?
Well, it sounds like these naysayers, that the negative press, those fear mongers are losing, because what's happening is people who've had annuities for a couple of years are bragging about them, telling their neighbors and their families, and good rumors spread very fast, right? And then they're actually starting to see good returns, better than ever on average. And so it's just now becoming the hype, because we have been talking about it for the last couple of years on radio, where there's other people who are saying really terrible, horrifying things about them. And so you have to figure out, when those people are speaking, what are they trying to get from you, right? If they put your money in bonds, guess what? They get to make more money. If they over time, if they put your money in annuities, they don't get to make as much money over time.
Right.
So these people, Fisher, anybody else who's talking bad about annuities, if they put you in annuities, they lose in the long run. And so, of course, they don't want to push the annuity that might be, the best thing next to sliced bread this year. They want to put you in things where they continue to make their fees. And so there is the problem. And some of them are fiduciaries. And a fiduciary, you are supposed to look out for the best interest of your client. And if you put somebody in bonds 2 years ago and you didn't sell them and you lost 20, 30% in your bonds, that fiduciary should have made some changes or gave you some other options. So this fiduciary word is being abused by these big fear mongers out there that know how to market, that have a lot of money. They're trying to scare you. And it's quite disgusting, the financial industry and how it works. But there are some bad annuities. We've talked about that.
Yep.
But the good ones, I'm talking about the good ones. Just think about the good ones. There are really good ones out there. I can't even express my sincerity on that. We were just talking about one of them where it's guaranteeing 6.1% for 10 years, guaranteed. 6.1, 10 times compounding on your money, and you have liquidity. I mean, is there anything wrong with that? I would get out of bonds. I'd prefer to put my clients in that and just get out of bonds. Because when I put my clients in bonds, I get a fee. So why is Sharice taking people out of bonds? I'm putting them in some of these better buttoned up alternatives. Because if I lose in the long, I lose big time. If I put you in that 10-year, I lose big time. But I want you to have those incomes you want. I want to bless that portfolio so it does better than any of my competition. And how we do that is that we don't get greedy as a financial advisor. We don't think about our fee. We think about the client first. And then we always reap the benefit in the long run, right? And this is why our business continues to grow and why we continue to be on the Inc. 5000 list every year.
Well, this is one of the reasons, I think, right there. If Sharice sits down and talks to you about Social Security and getting the most out of Social Security, does she get paid by Social Security? No. This is part of financial planning and retirement planning. If she gives you advice on Medicare and what you might want to do, does she get paid? No. There are certain things that are, when you sit down with Sharice, she's not going to get paid on. And she's giving you advice, and she's trying to help you build that great retirement plan. And income is probably one of the biggest keys that we have to talk about, the biggest topics that we have to talk about. How do you get paid? Show me all the ways that I can get paid in retirement. And Sharice, there's a whole bunch. We've talked about dividend-paying stocks. We've talked about REITs. We've talked about, annuities. We've talked about structured notes. All these different ways that people get paid. And I want to explore every single one of them.
And you should.
That is one of the things that we want to make clear here at Zinnia Wealth is when you sit down, we're going to build a plan specifically for you, and we're going to show you all the options out there that are available, and it's up to you as the consumer to say, okay, this is right for me, this is not right for me. But it is so interesting to me that topic that is, seemingly have a black eye in the media, there are more people moving toward that income source of annuities.
It is, and it's historically
any other
the biggest year ever in history. So that tells you something.
It sure
right?
does. It sure does. All right, we are going to continue with our show about a look back, a look forward, 2023. What happened? What does that mean for 2024? If 2024 34 and on is when you're going to retire. How does this all affect you? That's the show today. So we are going to take a break right now. And when we come back, we're going to talk about many happy returns. It's holiday shopping season, then it's holiday return season, and some things that you have to watch out for there, and New Year's resolutions. Charisse has told us about hers. What about yours? We're going to hear from a crazy guy on TikTok who's pretty darn ambitious. That is coming up on our next segment of Retirement Coffee Talk. Welcome back to Retirement Coffee Talk with Charisse Rivers at Zinnia Wealth. Online, find us at zinniawealth.com, and we hope that you do. You can see a big gold box there. It says complimentary retirement consultation. That's a great place to start. If this is the year you kind of made your resolution and said, I'm going to sit down and talk to Charisse, well, just start right there. Go to our website and click on that box. We'll ask you to put in a little information there, and our team will reach out to you. Or you can just reach out to us right now at 833-368-3680. All right. Now, if you are on Charisse's gift list, it's always something interesting because I am. And every year I get something very interesting from Charisse. I never return it because it's always very thoughtful. But we always get something that we probably want to bring back that's not the right size. So it's holiday return season. Watch out, folks, because some of these companies are now charging a return fee of about $7. If you bought something on Amazon and you don't bring it back to the Amazon place where you send it back, if you use UPS, they're going to charge you an extra $1 or $2. So it brings new meaning to the term happy returns for the holiday season. But, you know, Charisse, we've talked about hidden fees in the financial world an awful lot. I mean, you just mentioned it when we were talking about annuities there. When you do that fee analysis for people, what are some of the biggest offenders that you see? The glaring things that say, oh, yeah, this guy, you know, I couldn't believe how much he was paying.
Yes. Oh, I can. Do I have hours? Some of the biggest offenders are the buy and hold portfolio that advisors feel justified to charge 1% to their clients. It bothers me to no end that an advisor who puts you in stocks thinks they can charge you 1% every year for them to do nothing, right? That bothers me. That buy and hold portfolio shouldn't be more than 0.5%, right? That's how we do it here. One of the second biggest offenders are the mutual funds. Goodness. Not only does the advisor, let's talk about two custodians. Let's say you go with a mutual fund company, and some of these mutual fund companies, I don't want to pick on names, unfortunately, but they're the big ones. The advisor's got to get paid, right? And typically in a mutual fund, their commission and load can be between 7%, as high as 7%. It could be as low as 3%, but we typically see 5 to 7%. So you put $100,000 in there, and now it's 95 because they just got paid. They're transactional. They're not a fiduciary. Plus, the mutual fund company has got to get paid. So those mutual funds tend to have very high fees, the internal expenses that we teach you in our classes about. So we don't like those. That's why we don't use them, because we want to save the client money, and we still can make the same returns elsewhere. So that's one of the big ones. But you can also work with a mutual fund company where there's an advisor, and I'm going to pick on Fidelity. Let me just pick on Fidelity because I love Fidelity. I use Fidelity, but I don't use it for this purpose. The advisor, if you go straight to Fidelity, the advisor is going to charge you 1%. But Fidelity needs to make money, right? And so Fidelity, if you use your Fidelity mutual funds, well, Fidelity gets paid an average of 1%. So you're paying 2% out the door to work with Fidelity, but people don't know about that other 1% they're being charged on average, right? Maybe it's a little less, maybe it's a little more. So we feel like that's so high in fees. Your portfolio, your aggregate portfolio should be no more than 0.75% all in, maybe 0.65, right? So we are huge here at Zinnia Wealth Management is cracking that code and getting your fees down. And this is why people with a lot of wealth come and see us, because we do a lot of discounting and we find the problem in their portfolio and we show them how to cut it to half. Some people can get it down to like 0.25. So this is something that I've been so passionate about all these years, about how do we help that retiree, because they retire. They've been with a stock jock for 30 years, and that stock jock says, okay, you can retire, take income, yet they don't change their portfolio or make it much more conservative. Yet they still charge the same fees. And to me, that's not fair. When you retire from your stock jock and your employer, you find a retirement planner. That retirement planner, a good one, says, hey, we're going to do 5 strategies. All of them have different fees. A few of them are going to have no fees, right? And if we're going to be more conservative in retirement, well, why aren't we lowering the fees by default, right? And it doesn't happen. So that's been my passion for the last, I don't know, since I started learning about it 15 years ago, the fee gouging. And I take it very seriously, because every dollar counts in retirement. If you could save 0.5% for the next 30 years on $1 million portfolio, that's a lot of money back in your pocket.
And there's the key right there. You've taught me to look at this on the long term. So let's say, for instance, just because the math is easy, you saved $1 million. Your advisor is charging you 1%. That's $10,000 a year. Over a 25-year retirement, that's $250,000 in fees. Do you think that you could come up with a good way to spend $250,000? I'll bet you could. And to pay attention to fees is a responsible thing. And if your advisor isn't talking about it, they should be. They should be transparent about it, and those fees should be lower. So give us a look at the website, give us a call, and let's talk through that. And that should be a question that you look at your advisor and say, what is this costing me? How are you charging me? If they're not doing that, give Sharice a call. Here's our number. Here's our website, 833-368-3680, 833-368-3680, or online, ZinniaWealth.com. All right, so Sharice said that you're doing the 75, the heart, what's it called?
75 hard.
Okay, so for 75 days, you're going to do something hard, and it's and just kind of focusing on yourself, be it physical, be it mental, spiritual, all of these different things. Well, some people have those kind of resolutions. Here's a guy on TikTok, don't know his name, but he's pretty darn ambitious.
2024 is going to be my year. You know, this is the year I turn it around. I'm going full paleo for 2024. I'm not even sure what that even means yet, but I'm committed. Cold plunging, sauna. These are words that I'm going to use regularly in 2024 because it's going to be part of my health regimen. I'm not holding back. You know, no goal is too big. Like here's a fun one right here. Climb Mount Everest. You know, am I going to do it? I don't know. I don't know. Maybe not. But I wrote it down.
Oh my gosh, I love it.
He is the poster boy for why you shouldn't make a resolution.
Oh, he sounds like a buddy of mine. My goodness. And when he said Mount Everest, I'm like, I must know this guy.
Little ambitious there, buddy. Okay.
Realistic goals, maybe. And understand your goals. So you stick to your goal and make it reasonable.
All right. So one of the things I believe,
because you know what, that guy sounds like he's got a 6-pack of beer sitting on his belly, and he is dreaming.
Well, he wants to improve himself. We'll give him that. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Well, one of the things that we talk about is people many times don't come to see somebody like you, Sharice, because they don't know what's ahead. They don't know what the process is. They don't know how much time it's going to take. They think it's going to be, a hard, arduous process. Mm-hmm. So how much time does it take? I mean, somebody calls us or they come in, they schedule a meeting, you sit down. How long does that first meeting take? How many meetings does it take? Tell me about that.
Yeah. So it's pretty simple, actually, here. People come in for that connection appointment. They bring all their stuff in, and it's an hour and a half appointment, just getting to know you, trying to start working on that investment plan and income plan and tax plan. So an hour and a half for the first appointment, right? That connection appointment. Then they come back in. Then you go home, go enjoy your next couple weeks. Then you're going to come back in and spend another hour and a half with me just so I can show you, here's some holes. Here's how you can fix it. This is what I found in your fees. This is how much you can lose during the next crash potentially. Here's your new income plan and how you're going to weather the storms moving forward, right? So we do that all in an hour and a half. So it doesn't take a whole lot of time. And then for somebody to gather all their data and bring it into us, it might take you an hour, maybe an hour and a half. But when you really look at time is a the essence, especially if you're somebody who's considering to retire at the end of 2024, or maybe you're listening, you're like, Charisse, I don't even know when I'm going to retire. I haven't even thought that far. I don't have a bucket list. I don't have a goal. And you need to be listening to my show more often, because the thinking is, but what if you could retire at the end of 2024 and it was never on your radar, but you don't know you can because you've never come in and sit down with one of our advisors. So we can kind of break it down to you and say, hey, maybe you can't retire at the end of 2024, but you could retire at the end of 2025, or maybe it's 2026. But if you didn't have a plan and then you came in, you're like, now I got a plan. Gosh, I have something to look forward to. Now I can bust hum. Maybe I'll save a little bit more. Maybe I'll do things differently. Maybe I'll pay attention to my inventory and what we're spending, so we can start practicing better strategies in the household for what are we spending money on, right? So it starts with the conversation and knowing before you go, meaning know before you leave that employer. Know when you leave that employer what you actually need for your very first paycheck the day you walk out that door, because you don't want to be your own pension manager and trying to figure this out on your own. But gosh, I'm going to tell you, Randy, every time somebody comes in and they become a client, they're just like, gosh, every time, I wish I would have met you 5 years ago. I wish I would have met you 10 years ago. All the time. If those people were there, don't be those people. At least those people are coming in finally, but we're creating a plan. But the more time I have with you, it's good.
I imagine it varies. Sometimes it's real easy. You put a plan in front of somebody and they look at it and they go, that's exactly what I'm looking for. Or that might be, that's not exactly what I was looking for. And now that we've been talking about this, how about this? How about that? How about this? And new things come up. And now we have to tweak the plan a little bit more. Imagine there's just kind of, knock off this edge until we get it right.
Yes. And it takes work from us. It'll take a little digging in on your end. And it actually never ends, because every year we're updating your income plan. Sometimes you have to change things. That's the fun part of it. Like, you guys really do put me to work, and no one client is the same. It's very interesting. I think I am driven and motivated in this business because I'm looking for the next really hard plan to figure out for that client and for that household and for their wishes and their goals and their estate plan. And I think it moves me. It just motivates me. And I'm always looking for, okay, well, if I can't do this, how do we make it happen? Where do we need to go to get it? And it drives me. I absolutely love it. I think it's what makes me wake up every morning and just, I'm ready to get into work. I love what I do. And you know what? Our advisors do too. It's the same feel, whether you sit with me or somebody else. It's like we all feel this way because it's fun for us. We are a solution-driven firm.
And that's what you're looking for. You're looking for solutions to those things that you're concerned about. Maybe you're worried about inflation. Maybe you're worried about Social Security. Maybe you're worried about taxes. Maybe you're worried about all of it. And you want to get into this and have this written down. And this is what I hear time and time again, is after you kind of get all that out, and then the second meeting takes place and you start to see it on paper and it starts to take life. That's where people start to, the shoulders go down and they start to relax a little bit and say, this is why I'm here. This is what I was looking for, is to get some kind of direction and some kind of security as to, yeah, there will be a paycheck coming in besides Social Security. Yeah, I'm not going to get dinged on taxes as I go into my retirement. And these are the answers that people are looking for, and I'm sure you are as well. Give us a call, and let's have that conversation. If your New Year's resolution is, this is the year I'm going to talk to Charisse and talk about my retirement, give us a call. 833-368-3680, 833-368-3680, or ZinniaWealth.com. You can see right on our website, there's a gold box there. It says complimentary retirement consultation. If you click on that, you'll be on your way. We're going to take a quick break in our Look Back, Look Forward show. And one of the things that happens at this time of the year is you're going to see an award show, and they're going to flash the names and the pictures of the people who have passed away. It's an unbelievable list every single year, and we're going to visit that list a little bit and talk about some of the things when it comes to estate planning, what Charisse can help you with. That's coming up next on Retirement Coffee Talk. Welcome back to Retirement Coffee Talk with Charisse Rivers at Zinnia Wealth. Online, you can find us at ZinniaWealth.com or 833-368-3680. 3680. This is our look back and look forward show today, looking back at 2023 and looking into 2024. And, you know, we can't do one of these shows without saying, here are the people that we've lost this year. It's a pretty big list once again. You know, there's music artists, there's political people, there are actors and actresses in this list. Tina Turner, we lost her this year. Gordon Lightfoot, Richard Belzer in the world of comedy. Raquel Welch passed away. Jim Brown, the football player. Norman Lear, 101 years old, the guy who wrote All in the Family and all those great TV shows.
Oh, yeah.
Rosalind Carter passed, and she was 96 years old. Henry Kissinger was 100 years old. And then Matthew Perry, that was a real shock from
Yes.
Friends. That Suzanne Summers from Three's Company, I remember her. Jimmy Buffett passed away this year. Bob Barker from The Price is Right and Tony Bennett are some of the names that I have on my list.
Just rain on our parade.
Well, you know, it's amazing, but look at the ages of some of these people, well into their 90s, even into 100. So my wife always looks at me, she goes, I'm not going to live into my 90s. And I go, look at this list. You can. And that is certainly a discussion that comes up in financial planning. You know, somebody might say, there's no way I'll live into my 90s, but what if you do?
Yes.
And you got to have yourself protected. We all are worried about protecting our money against the stock market. We're all worried about protecting our money against Uncle Sam. Are you worried about protecting your money against longevity and having an estate plan? This is why you have the Financial Service Center, Cherise. You have these friendships and alliances and professional associations that you've built over the years, and these people are accessible to you and accessible to your clients as well. So after we get done talking about income and Social Security and Medicare and taxes and all of that, then there's that question, okay, do you have the correct legal papers in place? Cherise, what is it that people usually don't have that they need?
Well, I'm going to tell you, the number is so large. People die without a will, right? It can take years for resolution. And that will is one of the most powerful documents you have. It just says, who gets my stuff, right? Because if you don't have that will, some stranger with the state, any state you live in, is going to be divvying out the assets and maybe to the wrong people. So you want to make sure that you know, and it's in writing, just like we do here, everything's in writing. Make sure that estate plan is well driven and it's going to the people you intend it to go to. And we talk about these estate planning strategies with our clients, why they need a will, why they need a trust. Some people come in and they actually don't need a trust, right? So it's interesting. Not all people who come in are created equally. It depends on what they've saved, who they wanted to go to, how simple the situation is, or how complex. Is there a lot of properties? Is there a lot of beneficiaries? So there's a lot that goes into the wills and trusts and estate planning. And the biggest thing is protecting from probate. That is the first and foremost, most important thing we want to guide you on and help you make those correct decisions with our attorneys that we use, because probate is costly. It's the bread and butter for these estate attorneys, and they deserve it. And we want order. Okay. Yeah. It's the ultimate distribution of your legacy. We want some sort of order. We want some sort of direction. We just don't want to just set it and forget it and say, I don't care, stick our head in the sand. No, we do not want that. So the power of attorney, who's going to make your financial decisions if something happens and your memory goes, and let's say you're not married, or you're a widow or a widower now, or you're just a single person, you got to have that next person in line to help you. You also need a healthcare surrogate who's going to make the healthcare decisions for you. It better be somebody you trust. You know, your medication, taking you to the doctors when maybe you can't do it. Somebody's got to be ready and in line to help you. Okay. There's somebody out there that will help you. You just have to ask, right? So we want to get all those things in line. And the big part is, you named off all these famous people that have passed away, Randy. Do you know how many of them have died without a will?
Oh, yeah. They're still messing with Aretha Franklin's estate. I mean, some of it's getting settled now, but they're still haggling over music rights. And it's been 5 years since Aretha passed away.
Michael Jackson,
same thing.
Know it.
Yeah.
You got even like the most famous people in the world do not have their estate plan in order. Why? because their financial advisors are probably just like, let's, they don't care. They just like, let's make some money. I'm going to make money off you. Let's keep going. Right. And they forget about that second phase of that retirement plan. And this is why we are different. We guide our clients to do all these different parts of retirement. And, there's 4 pillars, and that's one of the pillars. And, then you have your long-term care plan. And part of working with the attorney is figuring out if we need an asset protection trust for long-term care so we can keep more assets in the household so that the spouse still alive in a house does not become financially destitute in case you did not buy a long-term care plan, right? So all these things matter. If you care about your money, all of these things matter, and you want to have a plan for if somebody passes away, if you need long-term care. So my job is to show you the hazards that I've seen and show you how not to have those hazards affect you or the heirs who will benefit from your estate.
And it gets just as confusing as the tax world because there's all these different labels that go. There's a power of attorney. There's a durable power of attorney. There's a medical power of attorney. There's an advance directive. And you go, what is all that stuff? Yeah. What is all that stuff? And I got to tell you, I am my mom's power of attorney. Okay. I'm not a guardian, but I am her power of attorney. And that means every time my mom falls and they got to bring her to the hospital, it's the first thing they ask you. Are you power of attorney? And, when any kind of question about medicine, anything comes up, are you power of attorney? And yes, I am. She set that up, and she had me in the will, and she has that all done for me so that I have the paperwork to prove that. And that just eliminates a whole bunch of problems because when you can't answer for yourself, somebody's got to answer for you, and you've got to have that person figured out and put on paper. And, Sharice, this is why you set up affiliations with elder law attorneys and CPAs and all these different things that you've done at the Financial Service Center. It's really a very important part of financial services, isn't it?
And it is. And if you don't have this plan in place, I'll give you a great example. I mean, I have many of them where somebody came in and they had a bunch of property. They had, I think, 8 kids. They passed away. None of it was in trusts. None of it was in LLCs. And what happened is when they passed, I don't know, they had like 30 properties. 3 years later, all these properties were in probate, number one, and it was still not coming out. And finally, when a house came out of probate, the kids wanted to sell. But one kid, adult child, out of the 8 says, I don't want to. I had too many memories here. So they can't sell. Everybody has to sign. Mm-hmm. And so it's a problem. So what the parents should have done is set up some LLCs, made maybe 2 kids or one the part of the owner of the LLC so they can make those decisions. So then you have to figure out who is the best adult child to actually make these decisions, right? But it's very costly. It's very costly for them. From what I know, they still haven't sold all their properties yet. They're paying all the taxes and insurance on it. So it's tough. And there's a lot of fighting. I had another example. This was a couple of years ago. There was no beneficiaries on some of their bank accounts. Their home was not in a Lady Bird deed or enhanced life estate or a trust. They had the wrong beneficiaries on their retirement accounts because they got divorced and they didn't change those names. And oh my gosh, when they went to court and probate court, there was fighting. It took years to get the money out. Save yourself that pressure, even though it's not your problem, it is somebody else's problem. And I know a lot of retirees, you've saved a lot. You've been so prudent. And a lot of you are so organized. Don't let the inherited dollars in the estate be unorganized because it would just save so much more money. The money that you've saved to give as a legacy, those dollars will be able to stay in the portfolio because you are organized.
Such a great point. And that might be one of the things that you have resolved to do this year is you've never sat down with an elder law attorney and put these papers in place. And that is part of good financial planning. And Sharice can certainly help you along those lines. Give us a look on our website. It's zinniawealth.com, ZINNIA wealth.com. There's a gold box there. It says complimentary retirement consultation. Let's just talk through your concerns about what's coming up this year and in many years to come with you and your retirement. Or you can call us, reach out that way, 833-368-3680. Well, Well, Sharice, we've done it again. There goes an hour of time.
My goodness. Well, you all, Happy New Year. And I hope you stay strong with your New Year resolutions, with your health and your wealth. And if you want to come see us to start getting organized so you can have a New Year's resolution on when you're going to retire, or if you need to start looking at different things or a second opinion review, take the opportunity before the year gets clicking and busy again. And as usual, thank you so much for listening. We couldn't be here without you. Live by design and not by default. And we'll see you here next week.
This has been Retirement Coffee Talk. To find out more about how the strategies we've discussed on this program can build the retirement you've been wanting, call Zinnia Wealth at 352-368-3680 or visit us online at zinniawealth.com.
Sharice Rivers is an investment advisor representative of Zinnia Wealth Advisory, LLC, a registered investment advisor. Exposure to ideas and financial vehicles discussed should not be considered investment advice or recommendation to buy or sell any financial vehicle. Past performance is not a guarantee of future results. Investments can fluctuate and when redeemed may be worth more or less than when originally invested. Financial professionals are not licensed in all 50 states. To find out if Sharice Rivers is licensed in your state, please contact their office. Zinnia Wealth Advisory, LLC is not affiliated with nor endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any other government agency and does not provide legal or tax advice. Annuity guarantees rely solely on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing insurance company. Any client experiences discussed during this show are unique to that client. They are not meant to imply or suggest you will experience the same results. By contacting us, you may be provided with information about insurance and annuity products offered through Sharice Rivers, NPN Insurance License Number 8718011.